When you begin practicing your Tai Chi form, you usually want to practice the Wu Chi position for a few seconds or even up to about a minute. And this consists of having the weight evenly distributed between the 2 feet, feeling as if you're being suspended from above by a piece of string, so that's known as the suspended head top, relaxing the shoulders and the elbows, keeping the spine in a neutral position, and having our tailbone drop downwards so your bottom isn't sticking out. We also always want to breathe through your nose wherever possible, particularly during Tai Chi practice. Now, the first thing a student usually learns in Tai Chi training, in our lineage at least, is the square form. This is an excellent form for learning and practicing the Tai Chi structures, stances and postures, and implementing this Tai Chi posture throughout the duration of the form practice. So it takes a little concentration, but I find that it's very useful for myself or for anybody who's been practicing for a long time to continue to practice the square form, because you can always improve and work upon the strengths of your shapes and postures. So that was the square form from the side. So here we're raising the arms, bringing them in, keeping some sort of strong geometry, pushing down with some structural strength, sitting down, keeping the spine straight so you're not leaning forward, really controlling the steps in Tai Chi as you practice. And how you get from each point is of some importance. So basically try to keep the movement quality as smooth and fluid as possible. So that's the square form of the first posture, the beginning posture. So here we see the round form, which in most cases is simply moving through all the points of the square form. In this particular case, there are a few differences between the square form and the round form. But again, you can pick it up from the video, I guess, but ideally you get an instructor to point out the mistakes. So movement quality is of prime importance. Now, once you've learned the orthodox method of practice, we also recommend that you practice the mirror form, which is where we'll do everything in the other direction. So here, stepping forward with the right foot rather than left, for example. And again, just getting the sense that the whole body is completely connected in all the movements that you're doing, and that your whole body is starting to work as a very efficient unit. Now, one thing to emphasize is that when you're practicing form, it's a feel-based training method. So you want to be becoming hyper aware of all your movements and the location of all your body parts, and also feeling everything within the movements as you move from posture to posture. And as you practice, you're going to try to get rid of any deficiencies or any breaks in the posture, so that if you took a photograph at any position, it would be structurally sound. So here I'll attempt to demonstrate the reverse version of this particular form. So that's another training method used within our system of Tai Chi, at least, which helps to further educate you as to the shapes and the various aspects of your postures. Now, a super important aspect of your Tai Chi training, if you're going to be doing it as a martial artist, is to learn to make all the structures and shapes really mechanically strong. So here we're taking different elements from the square form and the round form of the beginning style, and we're just testing them out, applying a little bit of resistance and using the shapes and the flow of body weight to move each other around or resist each other's weight. And Chris here is a big guy. He's about 130 kilos, about 6'4". So he's an excellent training partner to learn whether or not your postures and techniques are being efficient. Each Tai Chi movement has many possible different applications, so we're going to show the main and most important ones. Now, what's important is that you always practice with an eye towards using minimum strength. So in this particular aspect of the movement of the beginning form, I'm intersecting Chris's push and just slightly diverting it to the side of me so that it doesn't affect my center of gravity. So we're going to show it here from the side, intercept, and just take your partner's push to the sides so that the force doesn't land on you and send you off balance. So the most important thing is that you don't get pushed off balance. Okay, so it's a very simple movement, but with all these things, you need to practice hundreds and thousands of times to make them muscle memory. So Tai Chi has a concept of strong and weak lines on an opponent, or opportunities and threats, and so on. Now, the line that runs between the opponent's 2 feet is known as a strong line, and 90 degrees to that, you have the weak line. So if you want to get the guy off balance, you can more easily do this by attacking the weak line, either pushing or pulling. So either way you apply your force, you can easily move big people. Okay, so again, Chris's 130 kilos is being easily moved there. Now here I'm combining that concept with the beginning form to make the counter more effective by simply applying my counter pressure to Chris's weak line. And here I don't use the weak line, and it's still effective in this case, but not as effective as it would be if I step off line here and apply the force to the weak line. Now, the beginning form can also be used as a pulling technique after you've diverted, pulling them to the weak line and then countering them again. We can also use the shoulder. If you don't have too much physical strength, you can counter with the shoulder. And we can also counter with the final shape, which can be very strong. We can also use the diversion part of the beginning form to defend against punches quite easily, so just intercepting and yielding to the punch, taking all the power out of it, and then countering with a direct strike back, with either a punch or a palm strike. Now you'll notice that here in the form there's a curved shape which is then extended, so we're going from the circle to the square in Tai Chi terms. Now storing power in curved shapes in your body gives you a lot more power potential when you extend your limbs back at the opponent. So here, same thing against 2 straightforward punches. So the lower part of the form can be used as well to divert pressure from lower body attacks or grabs. And then here we're showing the final shape as another type of throw or takedown when you combine it with a leg or knee trap. Chris is a little bit big for this particular technique, but if you put the hands up high, it seems to work quite well. Now there's another technique, really important technique from the beginning form, which is the body lock and the use of the shoulder to apply leverage to the opponent's spine, so you can simply take them down nice and easily. So here is a slightly different way of getting in using the first part of the form. Okay, so Tai Chi is built around 8 forces and 5 ways of stepping. So the first one is the Peng force, which is like an unyielding frame. So your limbs don't really bend. Yeah, they keep their shape. Now, the Peng force is often, but not always, applied upwards as well, so that you're not meeting force with force. You're keeping a strong shape, regardless of what the attack is. Could be anything, pushes, punches, and so on. And then you're leading or diverting the force in a upwards direction. Now, the idea is also to try and lead your opponent into the void and send them off balance. And with this, you can apply a little bit of sticking quality. So your arm sticks to their body part as it comes in. And if they're putting enough pressure forward, you can help drag them into what's called the void, basically just leading them off balance. So the second force is known as the squeezing force forward, Jai. So it can be done with 1 hand or 2 hands. It's a bit like the inch punch, and you're basically just trying to be efficient at sending your body mass forward. Third force is on, downwards heavy pressure, using gravity and excellent structure of your body, usually applied using the palms. Yeah, one or two hands, doesn't matter, and it can be applied in different ways. So we'll show you a more practical version of it after at the end. Lu is simply diverting and yielding forces to the side so it doesn't affect your center of gravity. So intercepting, whatever it is, one hand, two hands, there's many different ways, and simply taking whatever type of force is coming at you and taking it offline. And again, maintaining perfect balance. And of course, stepping's used usually, but for this demonstration, we're just doing it quite statically. So again, could be punches, pushes, what have you, and you can apply the Lu force using pretty much any part of your body. Some parts are going to be more practical than others, just depending on the situation. But here we're trying against a few different punches using the front of the arm and the back of the arm. So it's very straightforward. But yeah, the quality of sticking and following is quite important here. We'll talk about this a little bit more in another video. But here, simply get the idea that Lu is soft and yielding and taking the force to the side, away from your center of gravity. So here's a few low examples of Lu forces using the inverted arm, which may sometimes be practical in some situations. And again, these can all be applied for kicks, punches, it doesn't matter. Any force that's coming sort of forwards towards you, you just take it to the side. So here we'll just revisit the on force and show you how it usually works. For example, you take somebody off balance and then you drive them downwards. Chris is a little bit big for this one to do it safely. And for our styles Tai Chi Neigong training, which trains all the fundamental forces in the most effective way, visit www.neilrosiak.com. For general Tai Chi inquiries or consultations or classes, visit www.13dynamics.com.